Hello and welcome to the Techstrong AI podcast. I'm Amanda Razani, and with us again is Mike Vizard. How are you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well. So we have several articles, all sorts of topics involving AI, and we're going to start today with an article by George Holm, and he wrote about MLOps and how companies need to incorporate more training and continuous learning in order to improve their MLOps strategy. And really, it comes down to breaking down silos as well and communicating better between departments. So you read this article, Mike, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, first of all, I really did like the piece, but I wish we had called it AI Common Sense. The issue is we are running around with our heads off, right? People are saying we're going to do this great AI thing and that great AI thing without really understanding what's involved. I mean, it friggin' takes a village to build an AI model. I got to have data scientists, I need developers, I need data engineers, I need the security people, I got to deploy this thing, networking people are involved. It's just a small army of folks, and guess what? Hardly any of them outside of the data scientists know much about AI at all. And organizations are going to have to spend a significant amount of time training these folks. There's no AI to deploy the AI, maybe someday, but right now, AI requires people. And those people are not that many. And so when you start fighting over them, it winds up increasing salaries and there's not enough to go around. So it slows everything down as a result. I think, organizations need to take a giant step back and say, hey, what is our plan for creating a business model around an AI strategy that is sustainable? And guess what? That's probably not going to come together in the year 2024.
Yeah, of course, the technology is advancing so quickly. And like you said, there's that big lack of skill set and a shortage in being able to hire the right people. So yeah, it's probably going to be a little bit of time before they figure this out.
Yeah, I think when we look back, 2024 will be the year of the proof of concept for AI. Everybody's got one, maybe two, maybe even half a dozen. But which of those is actually going to show up in a production environment to drive some level of innovation? I don't know. The other side of the coin, too, is how many of them are building capabilities that you're going to wake up tomorrow morning to discover that somebody else is now providing as part of a larger platform. Now, I'm a little leery of going out, building out some massive amount of capability, only to wake up one morning and figure out that somebody is like Google is selling as a service for a nickel. So,
yeah. Well, moving on. So OpenAI has launched a security committee, and you can see more about this on securityboulevard.com. And, amidst all of the lawsuits and all of the problems that they've been encountering, this seems like a good thing for them to do and to focus on this a little bit more. And what are you hearing from business leaders out there in regard to this?
This has become the number one issue that's holding up a lot of companies from even using AI, never mind building their own models. And the issue is that the data is shared with these things. Nobody has proper procedures for how that data might be exposed, either as you're transmitting it on the wire or to somebody who's stolen your identity and might be stealing your prompts and the data that comes back as they kind of watch what you're doing. I think we talked about this last week as well. The AI model itself, cannot keep a secret any more than a 5-year-old. So it's easy to kind of tease it out and figure out what exactly is that secret that was supposed to be hidden in the LLM. I think it's just got to prove to be a major issue coming up. And I think we're just waiting for a couple of major breaches to occur and people along and go, my God, we didn't do anything, and this is kind of like roughly equivalent to, we invented the car, we didn't put any brakes on.
Yeah, it seems like, the business leaders involved with this technology felt the risk was worth the gamble, I guess, and just threw that technology out there, knowing all the risks, but I guess they feel at the end of the day, they were going to put it out there regardless.
I guess, is somebody going to turn around and sue them? I know that they've indemnified all these other folks who are building stuff on AI. And I guess that might be the only way to actually get people to go do stuff, because if they were going to have to take on that liability, they'd probably think twice about it. But I can't help but wonder if, there's some court cases coming down the pike and they'll take years to play out, but we'll look back at it and go, gee, I mean, that was kind of, Wall Street greed kind of craving, almost to the point where let's just drive a boatload of revenue and hope we make more money than we're going to lose in the lawsuit. It's kind of simple.
Yeah. And I was reading something the other day. I don't remember where, but it was talking about how executives and many C-suite leaders in key roles when it comes to AI are not accepting the role if they're not going to have a special insurance, which I didn't know there was such a thing as insurance for the actual people in the positions.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of them who have those positions today, even with insurance, are probably going, I don't think I want to be around to see how all this turns around. Or they're probably calculating, I think I got a good year run before I have to go deal with this in some more meaningful fashion, because maybe we haven't quite figured out what all the use cases are yet. But it's a major gut check right now.
Absolutely. So moving on, the FCC is looking at AI advertising rules, and they're looking to perhaps make it illegal for using AI in political ads, among other things. But there's nothing really concrete yet, but they're looking at putting enforcement in place. So where do you see this going? Is this a possibility? Are they going to actually be able to enforce this?
Well, that's the issue, right? Enforcing is a whole other issue, but it's not clear to me it's the best idea either. So, think about it. 4 years from now, what content to some degree is not going to have some level of AI thing as part of it, right? It's probably going to be pervasive in all places. So it might be easier to label the things that don't have an AI in it than to label the ones that do have AI in it. That's kind of silly in its own right when you think about it, but probably more practical. Maybe. See? I think, where does it stop? Is it political ads? What about any other type of ad? Don't I want to know how it was created, how ritual it was? Does that inform my opinion of the company and the brand? Or in some instances, I might like the AI-created advertising content better than I like the human content because it may be inspiring. I don't know. I think this is going to be a tough issue to sort. In some ways, I think a lot of folks in Washington feel compelled to do or say something, but I don't think they have a plan.
Yeah, there are some tools for which I love that incorporate AI that I feel are helpful in presenting way better graphics or collecting information and data more quickly and utilizing it. So it's also going to be a matter of how far do they go on AI created content, as far as, things like Canva have AI integrated into them. And I think now, I believe PowerPoint has some sort of AI integration. And are we not going to be able to use any of that because it used AI?
Yeah. And the truth of the matter is there's going to be more political misinformation than ever. Yes, we should call it out when we see it because, it's, you can't ban it because it's kind of a freedom of speech issue. But we still have to figure out some way to alert people that it's not necessarily whether the information is false because it was created by AI. It's just false information.
Yep, absolutely. So next, there was a big announcement from Microsoft, and we're seeing more of this, but there's a survey over on Techstrong AI talking about the AI PC market soon is going to be the majority of PCs. I can't remember the exact timeline, but they're estimating about 60-something% of PCs will be AI PCs. So what are your thoughts? And are you hearing anything about this from business leaders?
Right. So this was by 2028. And I scratched my head a little bit and I said, well, this is 2024. So the new AI PCs aren't going to show up for 2025. So now I got a 3-year window to fulfill this forecast. how many new PCs would there be anyway? Because people were just upgrading in their normal cycle. So maybe figure 30 to 40% of PCs in that 3-year window would get an upgrade cycle, maybe. I'm just guessing. But so that would suggest that they're saying that the upgrade cycle will probably increase by 30% more than it normally would because of AI in 2028. I think maybe that math works, but I look at all these research reports and they're always fun to kind of poke into, but are we going to be sitting in 2028 remembering that there was this study that was published in 2024 making a prediction about this? I think that they're counting on us probably not doing that.
Yes. Well, I foresee as rapidly as this technology is advancing, I think you're just going to see AI in everything. And it makes sense. AI is just going to be integrated part of PCs eventually all across the board.
And what kind of AI PCs are we talking about? Are we talking about Qualcomm Snapdragon kind of chips with some optimized chipsets for running AI algorithms? Great. Or are we just talking about, PCs that have GPUs in it? Because that doesn't really count.
Yes, that's true. So, specifying would be important. Well, next, AI comes to DevOps, and you have an article over on DevOps.com about JFrog forming a broad DevOps alliance with GitHub. Can you share a little bit about it?
Yeah, there's a lot going on over there in terms of AI, but basically, if the developers are getting AI to write the code, well, we need AI to help manage and automate the workflows that are used to build and deploy the applications in production environments. And so what we're starting to see is a wave of AI tools starting to show up. What's interesting here is that, well, GitHub and JFrog, between them, they cover the spectrum, right? You got GitHub is doing the source code, and JFrog has the binaries. Wondering if this is a prelude to something more in the way of an M&A activity. We'll see. But that aside, we got to get to the point now where we can build applications quickly, because they're talking about there'll be more applications deployed in the next 2 years than in the previous 4 decades. Well, we're not kind of set up to really manage that process and workflow, and we need to figure out how we're going to use AI to build and deploy AI. And I think it's going to start with these DevOps workflows. We're also starting to see it in tools that provide the observability we need to manage. So Log.io is putting in a AI chatbot type of thing in front of the observability. And I'm sure that's the first step towards a larger play. And everybody's talking about the same thing. But we're going to see this whole pervasive use of AI across DevOps, and it will change the way we build and deploy software. I just don't know if it's for the better immediately, right? Because the one thing we're already starting to see is, there's more code than ever. It's not always higher quality code, and it certainly has a lot of vulnerabilities in it. So for the short term, we may wind up with a scenario where we're worse off than we are today, but long run, we'll be better off.
Yeah, it does seem in the long run, when when the technology is more improved, it would be very useful to just use an AI agent or some sort of tool and just with natural language ask it what to do, and it can just perform those tasks. It would be very efficient and certainly speed up processes. And
I think the issue will be forced. I mean, ultimately, what software engineer wants to go work for a company that's going to give them antiquated tools to go build something, when they're going to be like, I really don't need that level of toil, headache and stress and all these manual processes and bottlenecks that emerge because, you're asking me to drive a Stanley steamer in the age of the catalytic converter.
Yep. Well, we'll see. Time will tell. It's certainly advancing very quickly. So who knows where we'll be a year from now talking about this. So
well, if I knew that, I'd be on Wall Street making some serious money.
Exactly. Well, and Mike, that brings us to the end of our list. So do you have any final thoughts for our audience?
It seems like all the story these days is, all things AI. And I believe that will be the case for a little while longer. But as it's kind of like I was pointing out in the political last story, we're rapidly going to the point now where, well, everything has AI, so maybe we don't need to call it out all the time either. So, this is Techstrong.ai, which is awesome, but I sure like to get out, what do we do with this stuff that's interesting? So if you got some sort of interesting use case, give us a shout. We'd love to hear about it.
Yes, I love hearing about use cases. So please do put in the comments and also share what's your favorite article that you read today from our podcast. And until next time, have a great week.
See y'all.